Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Help for HGTV. With us being in December, we are going to talk a little bit about the holiday. Our society spends a lot of time of creating the perfect hallmark holiday. It's all over TV. It's everywhere you go that this is the time of year that everyone is healthy, everyone is happy, everyone is gift giving and smiling and eating these fancy meals and living in this fancy decorated home. And that is not reality. And it's especially not reality for our community. Caregivers are stressed out. They are not decorating their homes to tease. Finances make it so you aren't able to buy the perfect Christmas dinner or the perfect Christmas gift. And that's not what the holiday seasons are actually about. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about today, maybe about some ideas and some of our stories to hopefully make you feel not alone, that you have a big community behind you, and also maybe some ideas that can help make the holiday season a little brighter for you. So I'm going to start by talking about, Katrina and I will start by talking about a story within our own home. Both Katrina and I are from HD families, and some things that happen with us to help you understand that we understand what this holiday season really means. I'm actually going to start with a holiday. It was 2 Christmases before my husband, Mike, passed away. And he had just gone into a care facility. We would go see him all the time, either his mother or myself. And we decided for the holidays, of course, to bring him home. I worked really hard to get the house ready. Unfortunately, our showers and everything were upstairs, but I tried my best to keep it as comfortable downstairs as I could for Mike. And the kids, I wrapped all of the Christmas presents from their dad and mom and got everything together. They were very young at the time. Macy, my youngest, was all of 3 years old, 4 years old. So we're talking very young children in the home. And I had thought I made everything perfect. Mike had this thing where he was having some OCD behaviors and he would choke himself until he would throw up, because he had it in his mind that if he was throwing up, his stomach would feel better, because he constantly lived with bowel issues and stomach pain. That morning we woke up and we all went downstairs to be with Mike, and he started having this behavior where he was putting his finger down his throat, trying to make himself get sick. And unfortunately, he got sick all over the kids' Christmas presents. The kids were obviously very upset, not about their presents. They didn't care about that, but they cared about their dad. So they ran and my son held their dad. They said it was okay as they rubbed his shoulder, and I cleaned up the mess. I decided to send the kids away to my parents' house to where they could have the rest of their holiday be somewhat joyful. And I sat with Mike, and I remember I turned on the TV and he laid in my lap. I had him in my lap, rubbing his head after I cleaned him up with a sponge because I didn't have a shower downstairs. And I turned on the TV and he fell asleep in my lap, and I watched TV, and it was haunted by the perfect family, the Christmas dinner, the Christmas movies that were on. It's a Beautiful Life. It wasn't a beautiful life that year for me or for the kids, and especially for Mike. I did that night. I actually sat by myself in the dark with him and rubbed his head and turned off the TV, sat all alone. The only reason why I bring that up is to show that we've all kind of lived this where we put our loved ones first before anyone else. And Mike that year had to come first, and he did. And I think the hardest part was not having my children around that year, but I also think it was the best for them with what we were dealing with that specific year. The next year, I'll just finish up that we didn't put Mike through the trauma of bringing him home, because it was very hard for him. And we spent that year, the following year, our last year with him before he died, in the care home that Christmas, where we watched movies and sat with him and opened presents. And he was very tired at that point. He was in and out of sleep all the time. So after an hour or 2 of us being there, he was falling asleep and couldn't keep his eyes open. And that's when we went home, and we had the rest of the holiday with us at our house without Mike, because he had probably slept the rest of the day away. But we decided to change things up because that was the best thing for Mike and our kids. So that was very long. I was expecting a short story, but it was a very long story. So Katrina Hamill, I will turn it over to you.
Ah, gosh, it just floods back memories when you talk about Mike and the kids. I'm like, that day, it was eventful to say the least. So I'm going to say a little two-parter. This is about my mom from the perspective of a child growing up in the home, which would be me, with someone who had Huntington's. And we had a lot of traditions in our house. The same stockings from when we were born. I still have them. They're like falling apart, but they were always hung. We had certain decorations. I have probably 10 of those left that they still come out every year. They do not match anything going on, but they bring back memories for me. So I keep them around. Um, but we had a lot of traditions. One of the biggest ones that we had was making sugar cookies. And it was like a very long process of mom making the dough from scratch, rolling them out. We would help cut them. We would stack them by shape. So like all the trees would get stacked in these stacks, then gingerbread men and Santas and the whole bit. And mom would make cookies usually 2 days before Christmas. And then Christmas Eve, we would spend, as kids, would spend time decorating them. And then all family and friends, because limited budget and all, our family and friends that would come on Christmas, which there were many, we'd give them all of these cookies. And looking back, I'm like, oh goodness, I don't know where our fingers were. I don't know like how sanitary and clean that idea was, but hey, everyone loved them. They ate them, they enjoyed them, and it was something that we did every year. And they just knew they were getting that and some fudge. But I do remember one year when my mom, I didn't know what Huntington's disease was at this point. I was a teenager, and the stockings weren't out yet, but we did have a tree, and the stockings came out Christmas morning, which was never the way things went. We always had them hanging as decoration, and then Santa would come and they would be filled up. And though I knew at that point that Santa wasn't real, something was missing. And then we didn't do cookies. And I remember it vividly, like, okay, is mom mad or what happened? But we were so worried about bringing it to her attention that she would be angry and fight us about it, that we never brought it up. We never talked about it. It didn't happen again. We didn't do cookies again. And so for me, I know now that was HD related because it just wasn't any more on her like radar or her list of to-dos at that point. And back then I was just confused and angry and what the heck. And then now looking back, I realize and understand. And that was difficult as a child. It's something that it's really good to process those memories as an adult that knows what Huntington's disease is now, because you can understand that, man, that must have been hard for her as well, just not being able to do what she used to do for her children. And then the last Christmas we had with my mom, she was a pistol. She was wild and she was teeny. And the last year she was pretty much bedridden. And we decided that she needed her nails painted because this woman loved hot pink nail polish. And so before Christmas, we got together and like all of us just painted her nails because she didn't need any more blankets. She didn't need any more pictures of us around her room. And so we just did that kind thing, that gentle thing of painting her nails together. She couldn't verbalize whether she enjoyed it or not, but in our minds, it was something that she would have liked. Could she have verbalized that she liked it? So those are just two little experiences that I could think of when it comes to the holidays.
So we put it out to the community because as we are reflecting towards the end of the year, we have been hearing that community members are having a really hard time with the holidays. One, knowing what to buy their loved one, knowing what to do for their loved one. And so Help for HD, of course, we step in and we do our holiday programs where we financially help families. We've helped hundreds and hundreds of families this year through our four programs that have already launched and taken off, but then we're getting ready to launch our last one this weekend and it'll be all tied up. So through those 5 programs, hundreds of people have been helped because we do realize how hard this time of year is. But sometimes you can't buy things because our loved ones, like Katrina just said, they're in stage. So we came up with this theme this year, Katrina and I, and it was memories and moments. And so those are so important throughout the whole, Huntington's or not, life should be about memories and moments, but especially for our loved ones with HD that we know eventually won't be with us, holidays to come in the future. We put it out to the community, and I will start by saying that someone put in there to go to a sporting event. And I think that is awesome, to go to a sporting event. If your loved one is still able to travel, do something you love together and build that moment. So, Katrina?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Something my dad, who, is not impacted physically by HD, that would be definitely a great memory for him. And I like that one. Then the next one we have here says, my mom was always the cooker. and allowing her to help in the kitchen was the best. So in my mind, I think that's fantastic, even if that means that she used to cook the entire holiday meal. And now what she can do is she can maybe cut the hard boiled eggs in half to make deviled eggs, or maybe she can mix the cake mix. I think that's a really great way to include someone in future memories.
Yeah. This one I thought was really, really special because it's talking about someone who's passed and the memory is living on now with the next generation. And that was my husband reading The Night Before Christmas every year to our girls. He passed away in 2006 from HD. We will still laugh because he couldn't say chimney. He would say chimley. So now when I read it to her daughter that has H, she would intentionally say chimney to remind her of her dad, and she would laugh. They would laugh together. So that I thought was so cool because it's a moment, it's a memory, and it's bringing back an old memory to smile about a loved one lost.
I really like that. And it reminds me of Macy. For those of you who don't know, Katie's daughter's Macy. Most of you do know, but just how your household embraces the memories of Mike and continues to bring them up and make them part of memories going further into the next generation. Their children will hear stories of Mike. And I think that's just like what this person shared. I think it's just a great way to keep them going. This next comment says, my dad loved Christmas lights. As a kid, we would get in the car and drive around town to judge the Christmas lights. It's one of my favorite memories. For Dad's last Christmas, I really wanted to do something special. So I drove us all to McDavinville, a whole Christmas light city you can drive through. When on the way home, we stopped and got his favorite barbecue dinner. It was so much fun and easy to do because we were able to stay in the car. I love just thinking of access, right? Like, it's a little easier being inside of a car with somebody who isn't very mobile. We used to do the same thing, and we still do with my kids. My kids are a little like, no thanks anymore to the Christmas lights, but I know for a fact as they get older, they're going to be like, let's go do that again, and continuing to want to keep that tradition. So I really enjoyed that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, that's great. And then I think finally, Katrina, if we can wrap it up. I know you talked about you painting your mom's nails. That's super special, but if I can get one more from you.
Yeah.
Geez, let me think. But yeah, I'm putting her on the spot on TV, Help for HD TV. But if we could do one memory, so I'll talk about one memory that I have. I have so many memories with Mike, as we all do watching this. Our loved ones, we have so many memories that we built and with them, and bringing them up this time of year is just, it makes them feel like they're there with us. It brings them home for those that our loved ones are no longer home. But I think my favorite memory that I had with Mike always was reflection. And because we built a beautiful life, the two of us together, I don't want to start crying. So we built a beautiful life together, and we raised 3 beautiful children together. And we always took pictures, right? So that was our thing, pictures like all families do. And so we have books and books of memories that we've created and moments that we created. So I think towards Mike's end of his life, my favorite thing to do with him was reflection. And even when he couldn't speak anymore, because of course at the end he was pretty much nonverbal. He tried, but it was hard to understand him. But just to go through picture books and albums and talk about memories and talk about things we created and things we did and places we went, even our wedding day, and laughing about him not being able to say fidelity during our vows, probably because he drank a little too much, but that was okay. But like funny memories and love. And so I think this time of year, reflection is important. And I think that is a gift we can give our loved ones, is reflection of what our lives are because they were in it, and the special moments and memories we have because they were our parent, our spouse, our child, our aunt, our uncle, our grandparents, whatever that is. So I will turn it over to Katrina if you have a memory.
I'm going to say a little about my brother, who, as a lot of it, has HD. And I think for me, just continuing to involve him, but also our mother. So continuing to talk to him about mom, and oh, mom used to do this, and oh, this was mom's, and continuing to make him understand that he won't be forgotten. and making sure that he knows he's a big part of this family by continuing to involve him in our memory making. And that can be in the form of just being here during the day and sitting on the couch and urging him to be parts of conversation. That doesn't mean we expect it, but more of like, right, bud? Like when we're saying something or just including him. I think that's extremely important. I am thankful that he's still participating in all of our holiday seasons. And I know that moving forward, we'll continue to do things like, even if he's unable to come, we'll do like Katie did with Mike and improvise, and we'll come to him. Or who knows, at that point, he may be living here. We have no clue of what's happening in the future, but just to go at their level, their speed, their ability, and making sure that they feel included is just the best we can do as a community and as a family.
Absolutely. And you said Bub and has Huntington's, and I'm smiling. Obviously, I'm not smiling because Bub has
Of course
Huntington's.
not.
I smile every time I hear Bub's name because I love Bub, and I'm sure he's going to watch this because he loves Help for HD. So hi,
He
Bub.
does.
Holidays, we love you. So that's why I was smiling, because your name makes me happy. I think that'll do it for today. And please have a safe holiday season. And remember, the Hallmark vision is not true for majority of people. We don't have to strive to be that. We can just be humans and be ourselves and be where we are right now in our lives. I think that will do it for today. Don't forget to this video, subscribe to the channel below, and ring the bell for notifications when more videos like this come out. Until next time.